To call on Ms. Hoyle, the ranking member, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here and being so patient with us while we went and voted. So for my first question, I'd like to ask Mr. Corwin. Gray whales migrate past the Oregon coast twice every year, supporting millions in tourism, revenue for our coastal communities. This supports jobs for hotel workers, restaurants, staff, boat crews, boosting the whole coastal economy. I know you've been to the Oregon coast. It's stunning. This year, only 85 calves were born, the lowest on record, and over 150 whales have died. Now, the MMPA discussion draft today would ignore the deaths we can't directly observe. Why is it essential for science to count all the whale deaths, not just the ones we see?
Well, it's incredibly important to get an understanding of what's going on with that population and to make sure species are replacing themselves at a level that they're bringing the next generation of reproducers in. And so that's kind of what we call carrying capacity, when that species grows up and gets to that level where it's sustained in that environment and they can continue to grow. And we don't know that information if we don't have all that data, including the mortality. And when we see year after year with gray whales and other species that they're producing less and they're taking longer to produce and the adults have higher mortality, that tells us that we have challenges.
Thank you. And you've spent your career working hands-on with marine mammals in the field. From your experience studying these animals up close, why are strong science-based protections like MMPA so critical for the conservation work you do? And how would this legislation undermine that?
Well, I think I would answer that with that we can't just anecdotally make decisions. We can't make a decision because we want that to be, whether what side you're on or how you look at that, we need scientific data, and we need research, and we need the scientific rigor where that data is challenged. And then when we have that correct information, we then apply that to a management strategy. And that's why it's important to have verified research techniques and data techniques with confirmed results within the either academia or the researchers or the leadership in that specific type of study or conservation effort. That's why that's so important.
So, and within your work, have you noticed, I know that we've had a number of research grants specifically at Oregon State University that does a lot of this research, at the Hatfield Marine Center. We've seen impacts with the pushing out and firing of federal workers under DOGE. Have you seen that in your experience? Have you seen the impact of that?
I have not. I've seen a little bit of that, but I've not seen an extreme amount of that. We do some work with federal agencies. Most of my work, my current series, is in Florida, and I work a lot with the FWC and other organizations. So I was filming recently in South Florida and heard of resource challenges on a federal National Wildlife Refuge. And I, personally, anecdotally, I've worked with a lot of biologists, and a lot of my colleagues work for the Fish and Wildlife Service or worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service. And people feel challenged, and people want to have the resources to do the job right and protect our wild legacy.
Thank you.
But if they don't have if we don't have the story, we're not going to go film it, because that's how the TV show works.
I think. Lastly, I want to thank you for bringing up how conservation and marine mammal protection and the ESA have been bipartisan. You started with Roosevelt and his conservation and stewardship legacy. President Reagan, under whom the ESA was started, President Bush, President Clinton, that these are things that we have done in a bipartisan way, and I hope that we can continue to do so, because it's critical and important for our entire ecosystem. So thank you so much for being with us today, and I yield.